Alright, hello citizens of the Nigerverse. It is Nitro once again, and welcome back to System Shock Radio. So, I got some topics for you guys today. Some ones I think you might find interesting. I've got my water, of course. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. And of course, if this is your first episode of System Shock Radio, welcome. If not, welcome back. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So, the first thing that we're going to talk about is that lately, just in 2024 alone, there have been some massive video game company layoffs, and admittedly, I'm kind of tardy to the party here. This took place a little bit ago, like a few weeks ago or so. But yeah, there was a lot of layoffs, including and thankfully, hey, this is courtesy of Kotaku.com. Just to show how many companies had how many layoffs. I want to point at some of the big ones. Unity Software had 1,800 people laid off. Twitch laid off 500 employees. He's Discord laid off 170 employees. He's he's there is definitely quite a bit here. Riot Games laid off 530 employees. Microsoft. This was one of the big ones. Laid off 1,900 employees. Eidos Montreal laid off 97 employees. Sega of America laid off 61 people. Well, quite a bit, quite a bit. And I want to look like the really, really big ones. If anything, these are really big, but like the really, really major ones, including Gameloft here, who laid off about 38 people. Oh, EA, this was another major one, laid off a whole lot of people. Sony Interactive Entertainment laid off about 900 people. Oh, and EA again laid off another 670 people. So, a lot of massive layoffs within the video game industry, which is weird because the video game industry is relatively big. Some people felt that it's taken a hit over the years, which could explain these layoffs, but still relatively big. So, what's the reason for the layoffs? Also, what's going on, and layoffs can happen for a variety of reasons, and including stuff like mergers and stuff like that. But with all these layoffs, it's leaving a lot of people scratching their heads as to what exactly is going on what is with all these layoffs. And if I'm not mistaken, and if I'm mistaken, Activision had some layoffs as well. And it does always suck, when people do lose their job. And not because like the people were bad at their jobs, but because yeah. So Microsoft laid off 1,900 people within both Xbox and Activision Blizzard, but but yeah, it does always suck, when people lose their jobs and everything. Through layoffs and stuff like that, meaning usually through no fault of their own. But yeah, so it is really depressing. So to all the people who were laid off, of course, wishing you all the best in your future endeavors, and hopefully they're able to find work and everything. And yeah, so just a really awful and heartbreaking situation in that regard, And some people have speculated whether or not this will affect certain games coming out. There also was reports that certain games, especially with or actually, I'm thinking of movies. Never mind. Yeah. So there were some games. I forget exactly which ones who were like kind of in the bin. And I think the layouts either might have something to do with it or might be the reason for it. But nevertheless, that's and that's really a lot of speculation on my part. But yeah, so it does. Like I said, it does suck. Whenever people are laid off, it does suck. But hopefully they are able to find work elsewhere. But the next thing I want to talk about is some interesting comments that Zack Snyder made about Batman. Oh uh, so oh apparently this was so apparently this was during his interview with Variety, and this is courtesy of Forbes.com. Um, uh, Um, uh, and I'm gonna read an excerpt here as well as a quote. The excerpt says, "Zack Snyder maintains that Batman should be able to kill people. And it's weird that it's this hard and fast rule that he can't." In an interview with Variety, he explains his thought process, which has now drawn even more controversy 8 years later. This is old stuff. I think this was around the time of the release of like Batman vs Superman, and because apparently Batman does kill in that movie, which we'll get to, but reading the quote here, it says, "People are always like, Batman can't kill. So Batman can't kill is canon." And I'm like, okay, well, the first thing I want to do when you say that is I want to see what happens, Snyder said. And they go, well, don't put him in a situation where he has to kill someone. I'm like, well, that's just like you're protecting your God in a weird way, right? You're making your God irrelevant. And, but I do want to look at those comments, and it is interesting that they are resurfacing, and I know resurfacing has kind of like a negative connotation, but I guess the fact that they're coming back up, as to response, it's a very weird response, very interesting response, and Batman can't be in a situation where he shouldn't kill, and saying that he's irrelevant because of that, and drawing that comparison to God and everything, which I don't see how the two correlate, but okay, but yeah, Batman, and now Batman in some continuities he has killed, including within the Killing Joke or the Dark Knight Returns, or at least it might be implied that he killed within the Killing Joke, but especially within the Dark Knight Returns comic, and I think even in like in his earlier comics. But otherwise, Batman's main rule is that he doesn't kill. So, that's worked for the character for the past almost 100 years. There's like I like here's the thing a Batman killing is a rarity, and Batman having to get around killing is one of the biggest facets of his character. Or Batman has that moral compass. He feels that it'd be wrong to take a life. He doesn't always save people when they when their actions get them killed, but but trying his best not to take a life. But Zack Snyder trying to throw that out the window, even though that's been an established part of the character. And really, I'm not saying don't have Batman kill, like Batman being driven to the point of having to kill or needing to kill or things like that. And I think that even happened in the Death of the Family storyline, and where he fought against the Joker. Or but saying Batman is irrelevant, or trying to imply Batman is irrelevant, or that not much can be done with his character because he can't kill, like that goes against and all this character set up that has been going on for years when it comes to Batman or the other heroes. But and that when that grain is gone against, like it's done in an interesting way, such as like the Injustice is a universe where Superman took the life of the Joker pretty much out of rage. He probably unconsciously he unconsciously didn't realize what he was doing. He was so wrapped up in anger because Joker had just manipulated him to killing several thousand people, including Lois Lane and his unborn child. So Superman just totally snapped and literally he ripped his hand right through the Joker, which is really, really graphic. But saying Batman is somehow irrelevant, like Batman and can't kill, or Batman can't be in a situation where he's not able to kill. Well, now I do kind of get where he's coming from in that, if some people are saying Batman shouldn't be in a situation where he shouldn't kill in the first place, challenging that moral character and seeing how he tries to overcome it and seeing the struggles he has, I think that could be interesting. But to say he's relevant because he doesn't kill, that's no, that's that'd be that'd be almost the same as that'd be almost saying like Spider-Man is irrelevant because he doesn't kill. Even though I think Spider-Man has has killed before, if I'm not mistaken. But saying Spider-Man doesn't kill, that therefore that makes him irrelevant. That he can't be in a situation like that where he's not able to kill, or that it limits his character or anything like that. No, that's not quite how that works. Like I get going against the grain sometimes, but when a character's been established, especially Batman. Like I said, Batman's been around for almost 100 years. I think it's more like 80 or so, but Batman and I just want to make sure or look up the character her first appearance Detective Comics 27. Yeah, so 1939. So yeah, almost 100 years. But saying Batman is irrelevant because he can't kill, or that Batman should be able to kill, that it ruins his character or anything. That's not how that works. Obviously, Zack Snyder, he's entitled to his own opinion, and for some of you who maybe like Nigel, who's Zack Snyder, who was that he directed some of the movies within the DCEU, such as Justice League or Batman vs Superman, which I guess is where these comments stem from, or of course the Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League, but obviously yeah, interesting line of thinking from Zack Snyder there. But what do you guys think of his comments? Let me know, and let me know if my explanation made any sense. Now there are some characters who it's in their character where they kill and everything, such as like the Punisher or the countless villains and stuff. But or even going back to heroic characters like Wolverine and stuff like that. But when you take a character who doesn't kill, like it'd be one thing if Batman didn't kill and his character suffered because of it, but Batman's still an interesting character, or without needing to kill. In fact, oftentimes he's an interesting character because he doesn't kill. You'll kind of see his rationale. You may not always agree with his rationale, especially with when it comes to criminals like the Joker, or who kills several thousand people and they still escape every single time Batman locks them up. What to say his characters are relevant, or to imply his characters are relevant, or that he doesn't really have much character because he doesn't kill. That's no. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. And moving on to the next topic. A lot went down with AEW this week. He got between big business and now how some stuff potentially being revealed for AEW Dynasty. Let's see what's going on. So, we do have the full results here. This is courtesy of Bleacher Reports. So the first thing right off the bat, starting off big, Mercedes Moné is all elite. Yes, Mercedes Moné, formerly known as Sasha Banks, finally made her AEW debut. A lot of people did see it coming, but it was still pretty exciting. And even before her debut, first of all, apparently she had been with the company for about 2 months now and just made her appearance. And it makes sense, Big Missus was in Boston. Man, Tony Khan loves him some hometown heroes. But Sasha Banks immediately rubbed a lot of people the wrong way by saying, even though she's with AEW, she's signed with AEW, that she knows she'll be back in WWE someday. Which I mean, even if that's the case, even if you do feel that way, and even if that might be true, you don't say it out loud when you sign with its competitor. But nevertheless, Mercedes Moné, is all elite. She's here in AEW, so can't wait to see what she does. Wardlow tried and failed to take the AEW World title from Samoa Joe. Of course, Wardlow won the All-Star Scramble back at Revolution. Go check out my review of Revolution if you haven't already. And so attempted to battle Samoa Joe here, or take the title from Samoa Joe. But was unsuccessful. But it looks like things are far from over between Swerve Strickland and Samoa Joe. So I guess this Swerve versus Samoa Joe is the next major title feud for Samoa Joe. Then then the Elite, the new Elite, that being, of course, the EVPs Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the Young Bucks. You can't call them snobby their name up with Matthew and Nicholas Jackson and then still call them the Young Bucks. But nevertheless, as they are teaming with Kazuchika Okada, who is now part of the Elite. Of course, he made his debut the previous week at AEW, at least in terms of actually being a part of the AEW roster, and turned heel, joined the Elite. And of course, Hangman Page is suspended from the Elite. Kenny Omega is outright gone from the Elite. But nevertheless, they teamed up against Eddie Kingston, Penta Zero Miedo, and Pac. Pac made a promo at Revolution, and so Pac is now officially back, and saying he almost died from from what he was going through, which is why he was on the shelf. But wow, but nevertheless, he is back, and but the Elite picking up the win there. Then Darby Allin battled Jay White. And Jay White does defeat Darby Allin. A couple things. For starters, the Bang Bang Scissor Gang is no more, or as the Bullet Club Gold attacked the Acclaim. So that association is now over and done with. But the other thing is Darby Allin broke his foot. Darby Allin broke his foot in this match, meaning he will not be able to climb Mount Everest as planned. He was supposed to climb it later this month, I believe on the 24th, if I'm not mistaken. Was when he was supposed to climb Mount Everest. Of course, he'd been prepping to climb Mount Everest for the past 6 months, and he was supposed to climb, but because of his broken foot, he won't be able to climb, which a lot of people are pointing out that might have just saved his life because Mount Everest is a very big endeavor, and a lot of people don't make it back alive. So Darby may have been spared there. So Darby will try again next year while he deals with his broken foot. But yeah. Darby, he broke his foot. I believe he broke another bone as well, but also heavily taped up. I wonder why. But yeah, so there was that. At Hook and Chris Jericho defeated the Hates of Agony. Yes, Hook and Chris Jericho teamed up. Why did Hook and Chris Jericho team up? And pretty much immediately after, it looks like Hook and Chris Jericho are gonna face each other next week on Dynamite. So, that whole team was for nothing. And then in the main event, surprisingly, at this main event, Willow Nightingale battled Riho, and Willow Nightingale defeated Riho. Julian Hart and Sky Blue attempted to attack Willow Nightingale, but Mercedes Moné made the save. So, having the women main event and then having Mercedes Moné immediately get involved, establish herself, as that that face and everything, and pretty good stuff for AEW. So it looks like AEW, who is kind of getting back on the right track, which is very nice to see. AEW getting back on the right track. I wish my Focus would do the same, but not quite. But as for the matches so far that have been announced for Dynasty, we do have a couple. Well, the first one is a big one. Will Ospreay will officially battle against Bryan Danielson. So, Will Ospreay, now he's part of the main AEW roster. They wasted no time going for the dream matches because he was confronted by Bryan Danielson, and now they're going to face off. Ooh, I can't wait for that match. That is going to be a solid one. But also, new World Tag Team Champions will be crowned. Of course, Sting and Darby Allin won the tag team titles was a while back, and Sting pretty much retired as champion. But of course, the titles were vacated because Sting's no longer wrestling and Darby's now going solo. So now we have a tournament, and admittedly, this tournament is set up kind of weird. We have two quarterfinal matches set up already, but then there's 2 wildcard matches, and the 2 winners of the 2 wildcard matches will face their respective teams to face off in the quarterfinals. It's kind of a weird setup. So essentially it's 12 teams with one team getting a wild card and going up to the quarterfinals. So a team automatically goes to the quarterfinals, but now there's 2 teams working in the opening to go to the quarterfinals. That's kind of a really weird way to set it up. Why didn't you just have two other teams. There's plenty of tag teams in AEW. You're telling me you couldn't find two other teams, but nevertheless, as the teams involved, we have the Young Bucks taking on the Private Party. Actually, we should probably start with the wild card match first. The first wild card match will be best friends, that being Trent Beretta and Orange Cassidy, going against the Don Callis family. That being Powerhouse Hobbs and Kyle Fletcher. And then in the second wild card match, at the Infantry, he will be taking on the House of Black, being represented by Brody King and Buddy Matthews. It's kind of weird because the Kings of the Black Throne, that being Malachi Black and Brody King, are kind of more the established team. At least a bit more. Now, Brody King and Buddy Matthews have teamed before, but yeah, the Kings of Black Throne, that being Malachi Black and Brody King, very much establishing. They have a name and everything, but I guess they're not going with that. I guess Tony Khan is hearing our complaints and decided, you know what, we will keep Malachi Black as a single star for now. But nevertheless. So they're going to be the wild card matches. Then the winner of the first wild card match will face the Undisputed Kingdom. That being, it's a little tricky to tell. Oh, yeah, that's Matt Bennett and Mike Haven. And sorry, it's a little hard to see. My eyesight isn't what it used to be. So they'll be taking on the Undisputed Kingdom. And then the winner of the wild card match 2 will be battling FTR. And this is in the quarterfinals. Also, Undisputed Kingdom will battle whoever wins the first wild card match, and then FTR will be facing whoever wins the second wild card match. And then also in the quarterfinals, it'll be the Young Bucks going against Private Party, and then Ricky Starks and Big Bill will be going against Top Flight. As for who wins this, who do I want to win this? I think it would boil down to who either I'm guessing it probably would boil down to who probably. Yeah, honestly, if I'm being honest, it's because that's kind of been somewhat of a story. He going through who, if you remember from their rivalry a little while ago, it might boil down to the Young Bucks versus FTR, and I think the Young Bucks are gonna win, which would be kind of pointless because then why didn't the Young Bucks just win at Revolution? But nevertheless, yeah, I think we'll lock in, and I think the Young Bucks are going to win. But some interesting choices, and it does make sense, for example, for like Ricky Starks and Big Bill to be here because, of course, they were the former tag team champions. They lost the titles to Sting and Darby Allin, and FTR. If they won the tag titles again, I don't think anybody would complain because FTR is one of the best tag teams, possibly even the best tag team on the planet. Best friends, and aside from Orange Cassidy, haven't won any gold in AEW, so getting them a win here would be interesting. But yeah, it's a weird setup. Like, hey, here's a whole other teams they could have added it in this match, but they didn't. They could have added it. They could have added the Butcher and the Blade. They could have added the Dark Order. They could have added. They could add La Faction Innombrable. I think I pronounced it right. I think I finally pronounced it right. But they could have added them. And they could have added Pac and Penta because Pac is back and everything. They could have added it. It could add quite a few people, but they didn't, which is kind of weird. But next up, we have already our. Oh shoot! I kind of went out of order, but that's okay. We have some announcements for who's going in the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2024. And so far interesting lineup. There's some people that people are still waiting on and hoping on. But as for individual inductees, he's the first one, the big one, the first one announced even. Is Paul Heyman, which makes sense. Paul Heyman, probably one of the most influential people in the wrestling business. Is a lot of your favorite stars probably wouldn't be either wouldn't be as big as stars or probably wouldn't even exist as much if it wasn't for Paul Heyman. Like, hey, the amount of influence that Paul Heyman has had on the business is definitely understated, for sure. Or probably one of the most legendary minds in the business. Probably one of the biggest and smartest minds in the business. Like all kinds of people, including Taz, like Taz and RVD, and Tommy Dreamer, CM Punk, etc. Like all all wouldn't probably wouldn't have been as big a stars perhaps if it wasn't for Paul Heyman. So his and of course still part of the active roster, alongside Roman Reigns and everything. And so Paul Heyman, and whether as a manager or whether it being in part ECW and everything, Paul Heyman just so influential in the business. So him finally being able to get his due is phenomenal. It makes sense in Philadelphia. That's ECW territory. ECW, the home essentially of ECW. We also have Bull Nakano. One of the people who influential, especially with Japanese women's wrestling, like Joshi and everything, and he definitely a trailblazer in that regard. Or she spent some time in WWE, or she was a one-time WF Women's Champion, and and won women's championships in Japan, Mexico, United States. So very influential there. Then you have Thunderbolt Patterson, and who won several championships across North America, but especially also was a big advocate for not just black wrestlers in pro wrestling, but also having wrestling unionized, having like unions in pro wrestling and everything. So him being very influential, which is interesting because I just learned the history about him. My dad was telling me about him, and because he just learned about him as well. Oh, and now he's going to the Hall of Fame, which is really awesome. But then, as a team, you have the U.S. Express, as that being Barry Windham, who's going to be a two-time inductee. He was also a member of the Four Horsemen, and then Mike Rotunda, aka IRS, as so that they were team, of course. And then in the celebrity wing, you got a big one. You got the greatest, Muhammad Ali. He of course, Muhammad Ali, a man who needs no introduction, of course, involved with WWE, being part of the first WrestleMania, battled Antonio Inoki. It literally says competing in the War of the Worlds against Antonio Inoki, a match dubbed by WWE as MMA's first big fight. He was a special guest referee in the WrestleMania 1 main event, and I think he was a part of another WrestleMania, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, and of course, Muhammad Ali. Now, he is going to be inducted by Lonnie Ali. The rest haven't been announced as to who's inducted them, but I'm guessing with Paul Heyman, there's a lot of people that can probably induct him, just like as well with Bull Nakano and Thunderbolt Patterson. The U.S. Express, as I would guess, maybe Bo Dallas. But speaking of which, a lot of people are weighing on and are hoping to be inducted. And The Rock also been trying to put in his petition for the Hall of Fame, wanting to induct his grandmother Leah Maivia, who was a promoter and everything. She started promoting events after the death of her husband, that being High Chief Peter Maivia. In fact, it's almost some people are saying it's confirmed that she will be going in, but also someone that a lot of people are expecting and waiting for is Bray Wyatt. Of course, Bray Wyatt passed away last year, or one of the he big, like one of the best, most charismatic personalities in WWE history. He's someone that a lot of people who behind in the scenes in the locker room and as fans are definitely big fans of Bray Wyatt. And so will he go in? Some people are saying it's too soon. Who knows? Some people will I try to speculate whether or not he'll go in, but we will see. And of course, the Warrior Award or recipient, whoever that will be. If they still do the Warrior or Award, I think they still do the Warrior Award, or if I'm not mistaken, obviously named in the honor of the Ultimate Warrior, for people who have been, active in the community, and everything. And let me check. Yeah, so yeah, Tim White won it last year, so I imagine they'll probably carry it over to this next year. So we will see. But the last thing that we're going to talk about, and I am almost out of time. We're going to be over a little bit of time, so hopefully you all bear with me, and hopefully you're not too mad at me. The last thing we're going to talk about is something I'm sure that you've heard before, but we're going to explore what that means, and it's the phrase "comparison is the thief of joy." Excuse me. So, like I said, you've likely heard that phrase before. Comparison is the thief of joy. But what exactly does that mean? And for me, how I interpret it is going back to thankfulness and gratefulness. And we've kind of talked about it before or here on System Shock Radio that thankfulness and that gratefulness. But when you compare what you have to what other people have first of all, that's envy. But comparing what you have as a person, what you've accomplished as a person, versus what other people have done as people, well, you might sit there and think, "Man, I wish I had that," or "I wish I had done that," and so you lose that joy for what you've accomplished, and that's the trap I think a lot of us fall into, and myself included. I've been guilty of it as well, where I compare my life to other people's lives. What I have accomplished is versus what other people have accomplished, and said, "Man, I wish I had done that," or "Man, I wish I had that." But the thing is you don't always know what that person went through to get that. Just like that person doesn't know what you went through to get it where you are, or so. So obviously, you work towards your goals, you work towards what you want to work towards, as individuals. But don't let it and don't let other people and their success as ruin your own success. Like obviously, be happy for those people, and like definitely cheer those people on, but don't let it ruin your success. Just because other people have accomplished things that you may not have accomplished or you may not have even accomplished yet doesn't mean that what you've accomplished is any less significant. And that's the trap we fall into. We get inside our own head. We do have the tendency to get inside our own heads and be like, "Man, shoot, I wish I had that," or "Oh man, I wish I'd done that," not realizing that maybe we haven't gotten there yet because we're not supposed to be there yet. But what this person has accomplished is a big accomplishment, and I don't know if I'm making any sense, but don't get caught up in what other people have done that you've forgotten and what you've overcome as well, and where you start to feel bitter or resentful, like, "Oh man, and I haven't accomplished what they've accomplished," and that stuff will seep in, and you'll no longer be grateful or thankful for what you've accomplished, and you'll try to keep up with the Joneses. That's an old school phrase. Is try to keep up with the Joneses and forget who you are, and you get lost in the shuffle. Also, comparison is a thief of joy because it steals away the joy in what you've accomplished. Feel that joy, feel that pride. I'd strive for more, of course, but feel that joy in what you've accomplished. Don't let what other people have accomplished ruin what you've accomplished. Don't like ruin it for yourself. Don't ruin it for the other people as well. So take what you accomplished, cherish what you accomplished, and strive for more. But don't get caught up in envy or jealousy because you may not have accomplished what other people have accomplished, or at least not accomplished what they've accomplished yet. But accomplish what you're going to accomplish what you want to accomplish. But don't try to diminish from other people just because you may not have it. At least may not, or at the very least may not have it yet. But nevertheless, that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload videos, so you can see as soon as it drops, and let me know in the comments what your thoughts on anything I talked about in this episode and your reaction to anything I talked about in this episode. And did you enjoy this episode of System Shock Radio? But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.